All right, guys, so we're going to be going over the school API. Just creating an API in Django. So let's make sure we have our challenge up here. So school API, create a school API. Then we're returning JSON. So a little different from past Django challenges where we created HTML pages and those template views. We don't know how to do that for APIs. APIs just want to return some data. And the format we're going to go with is JSON because that's pretty commonly used standard or format used. So we're asked to create two models, one being students and the other being courses. So let's go through the process of starting a Django project from scratch, adding some models and going through adding routes and all the required pieces. Okay, so here I have my project, again, cloned down. I need to start a Django project. So hopefully this is mostly review for everybody, but I know it's been a while since we did Django. So the first thing I want to do is create a virtual environment. So I'll do python-m v&v, and I username .v&v. That should pop up a new folder here. Next up, I want to actually use that virtual environment. So I'll do source, then the name of my virtual environment folder, bin, and activate. That'll actually get me into my virtual environment. And notice my prompt is now prepended with my virtual environment name. So I'm actually using my virtual environment here. All right, next up, we want to install Django. So we're going to do this in our virtual environment. Since we're in there now, we do Django, pip install Django, and then I'm going to be using a Postgres database. I just know that already. So I'm going to install psychopg also. All right, so it's going to let that run. Luckily, this doesn't take as long as installing a React project, so it should be done in the next few seconds. But yeah, we're going to be creating student models and a course model. So we've done this before with other challenges. All right, so that's running. That should be done in thinking in 5 seconds. There we go, less than 5 seconds. All right, probably want to create a git ignore. So we'll do that quickly. Git ignore. And let's put some stuff in there. So we have my virtual environment. And then that should be good enough. Okay, so what else do we want to do now? So I've installed Django. Now I want to create a Django project. So to do that, the command is django-admin, start project, give it a project name. So I'll call this school API. And then since I don't like nested folders, I'm going to add a period here. Optional to do that, but I usually always do it unless I forget. So notice we get our school API folder. Actually, I regret that naming, so let me delete it. I like calling it proj, so I know it's my proj folder. Delete the wrong thing. There we go. Delete that. Okay. So let's try to create a project called school proj, and there we go. So I don't want to call it API just because I don't know if that's my app or not. So we'll go with that. Again, you guys can name them whatever your preferences are. Okay, so project's been created. Next up, I want to create my app. So I'll do python manage.py start app, and I'll call my project school app. And that should create another folder.
You just got to combine the start and app.
All right, I'm rusty on my Django also. Thank you. All right, so school app is my app folder, proj is my proj folder. All right, I think we're good to go here. So usually the first things I like to do is go to my settings and get that all scored out. So here I'm going to add my app, and my app is named school app. Simple enough. And then I'm going to be using Postgres. So I'm going to go Postgres and add in my name for my database. Hopefully I don't have a school DB, but if I do, I'll have to delete it. Let's find out right now. So I'm going to use Postgres. So we'll do create DB school_DB. Do I have that database? Nope. All right. So it created a new database for me. That's great. All right. So I checked off my settings. I don't think there's anything I want to add to my settings at this point, aside from those two items. So added my app, added my database name. I think I'm good to go in my project. Next up, let's go to our school app. So again, this can go a little fast, but if you guys want me to slow down or have any questions, just let me know. first thing, I want to set up my URLs. So I know I'm going to be pointing to my app URLs. So I'll do that right now before I forget. So in my project URLs, I'm going to add a new path. And that path, the base of that will be school. And we're going to include some URLs here. So our app name is school_app. And then .urls will point to the URL file that we're going to create. It has not been created yet. We need to include the include, of course. All right, so that should be good. Why are you yelling at me?
You're missing the parentheses.
Ah, yes. Okay, so that should be good to go. Now we need to create our URLs in our app. So if I go here, create a new file, let's say urls.py. Wrong folder. App folder. There we go. urls.py. All right, cool. So I'm going to paste what we had before and modify it. So we don't want admin. That can go away. We just want the path. All right, so here we're going to start creating some base paths. So we're going to have students as one base path. And this will be views that say students list. And name will be student list. Okay, views at student list. We need to import views. So from school app import views, and then we'll code that up. I'm going to add all my paths as at once, just because I don't want to keep going back and forth. So we're going to have something called new. We're going to add a new student. Again, we're just doing our CRUD functionality. So that's our create, C for CRUD. R is reading, so we need detail. So a detail view for a student will be a student ID. And this will be students detail. Next, update. We need to be able to update a student record, perhaps. So we'll do, I'll call that edit, student edit. And so it's here. Okay, one more operation is the D in CRUD, and that's delete. So I'll copy this over and we'll do a delete. All right, hopefully you guys can follow along the routes we're adding. Should look pretty standard at this point. We've done it a bunch of times. So we have student edit, student delete, student detail, student new. That's gonna wrap, but that's fine. And also we're gonna do the same for courses. So if I copy that over, should be able to do a simple replace. All right, find students, replace with courses, and not quite what I wanted.
Yeah, I was trying to get the replace in selection thing to work and failed as well. You just kind of got to supervise it while you do it.
All right. I'll do it the old-fashioned way because this is not working for me.
I think it's because it's a plural. The other students should be student, not students.
You're right. You're right.
What is the key combination to replace everything all at once?
I do command F, just get the find window, and you can drop it down to replace. There might be a direct way to replace it.
Yeah, you can also do a command D and then keep tapping D to select however many you want.
Gotcha. Yep. Many tricks for VS Code. I need to learn more of them. All right. So we should have all of them renamed, except this one right here. All right. So we have all of our routes, hopefully, for students and courses. So that should be good to go. But now we actually got to create our views. So let me create stubs form right now, and then we'll add functionality one by one. So define students list, that takes some requests. Request and pass. So just want to stub these out so I know what I need to implement. So these students list, students new. Did I make them singular? I think I did. What else? We had student detail. Then we had student edits. And finally, students delete. If I think I named those correctly, I can go to courses and do the same for courses. I've had issues with the scroll speed. I don't know how to remedy that. I don't know if it's a Mac issue or what. So I do command find student, replace course. All right, cool. So we have all these subbed out. Hopefully that should allow us to run our server. Obviously, we're not returning anything right now, but I just want to see if we've coded our models correctly, which we need to do. So probably should do that next. Class students. It's gonna be models.model. And let's make our models really simple right now. I'm just gonna do name equals models.char field, max length. Let's say student name is not gonna be longer than 64 characters. And I don't know what else we want for a student. Let's just say, I can't even think of anything right now. So we'll leave that as is. Then we have course. We'll have a course name, we'll leave it the same, and then we'll have a description. Probably want some dunder string methods, just in case we want to view this somewhere. So let's not forget to do that while we're at it. Self and return some f string. In this case, we just have a name. Okay, and then same thing for our course. We'll have self dot name. I think that's good enough. All right, so this is what my models look like initially. I know they're not too crazy, but that's what I'm going with. Okay, so then we need maybe a class for enrollments. Let's actually, I'm not going to even bother with enrollments. I'm going to do a many to many field. So we'll do students equal models dot many to many. So if we did want additional information, like maybe the grade that a student has in the course, we would need a join table. But I'm just going to take advantage of the many to many field. Let's be student related name courses. I think that's right syntax. If not, we'll double check it. All right, so that's our models. Let's see if that is how we need to do it. So I do Python manage.py make migrations, and let's see if we have any issues. All right, so it looks like it created student and course in our script file. So migrations has that migration when you actually push it to our database. So after making migrations, we need to actually migrate. So do Python manage.py migrate. And there we go. A bunch of good stuff got added to our database. So we should be good to go. I'm going to create a super user while I'm at it. So Python manage.py create super user. And then admin, no email address, super secret password. Yes, I don't care about security. All right, so that should take care of it. Let's actually try running our server. Python manage.py run server. And let's see where we stand. So server looks to be running. Let's bring up browser. Do I have one up? There we go. Refresh. Okay, cool. So this is a good sign. It says page not found because we're not going anywhere. Obviously, we don't have any of our views coded up. So if we try to go to somewhere like students, so school/students, that'll probably, yeah. So didn't return an HTTP response, which is expected. So I think I'm in a good place. With that, I want to make sure I'm pausing enough. So anyone got lost in what we did? So we created models, created URLs. We need to create our views. But any questions about what we've done so far? Okay, sounds like you guys are familiar with the process here. So I'm going to go to my admin panel so we could add some data maybe. Log in. All right, notice I'm missing those models I created here. Anyone remember how I get them into here?
Did you migrate?
I migrated, so my database has those tables.
You have to register them in the admin.py, admin.site.register, and then the name of the model.
Yep, Sean's got it. So we want to do admin.site.register, and then our models. We had students And then we also had course. Now we need to actually import those models here. So from school app, import everything. Should be good. Server student not defined. Oh, sorry, dot models. Okay, so now if I refresh this, we should see courses and students. So that looks good. Let's add a couple students. So go add a student. Sean, since you gave me that fix, I'll add Sean as a student. We'll add another student. I think Musa helped me out earlier. So we'll add Musa as a student. And who else? Reno led our fantastic retro. So we'll add Reno as students. So we have 3 students. That should be enough for now. Let's get some courses in here. So Sean, from high school days or college days, can you name a favorite course that you had?
US history.
US history. Description, stuff that happens in, all right. Country. Okay, so we'll save that. What happened? This field is required. That's not what I want. That field is required. So it's saying students must be added to a course. Can I make that nullable? Let's find out. Many to many field, Django, make null. Kind of surprised that they're requiring us to do this. How do I make a many field optional in Django? Stack Overflow, always great resource. Blank equals true, simple enough. Let's see if that solves it. So we do blank equals true. Not sure we need to migrate for that, so let's refresh. All right, that got added. So, all right, let's try that again. So blank equals true means that we can leave that off our form. Again, that's different than nullable. So null means the value can be null in the database. Blank means it can be blank when users enter the form. Let's get a course. Musa, do you have a favorite subject or course that you've taken?
And
All right, we'll say
there's
all right, we'll say Musa likes calculus, complex math.
I was going to say calculus also.
All right, save it. Okay, cool. So we have 2 courses. We have 3 students. Let's just go with this for now, and we'll see if we actually can use this data. So I'm in my admin panel. I want to actually implement my views. So right now we're just doing nothing here. So let's actually.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, I think I was gone for like a minute.
Okay. What was your favorite course or the course you're going to suggest?
English.
English. Okay, we could add that quickly. Add course, English, language. Okay, so we have 3 courses now, 3 students. Let's actually go back to our code. And now this is what we get to what we covered yesterday, where we want serializers. So for student lists, we need to return, we're going to return JSON response. So I'm going to import from Django, what is it? Django HTTP, import JSON response. All right, so again, JSON is the format we want to return. So we'll return something here. JSON response, let's say JSON. Data, and then status. We provide status, okay. All right, so we need serialized data. So serialized data will be set something. Set that to none for now. It's kind of working backwards. So first we want to grab our students. How do we grab our students? Well, we have our models. So we do from school app, import students. For our models and search students. And then we want all students. So we'll do all students equals students.objects.all. All right, so this is our Python representation of our data, but we want to make it into JSON. How do we go about doing that? So that's where serializers come into play. So I'm going to have serialized data. It's going to call something called student serializer. And I'm going to pass it, let's say, I'll create a get method and pass all students to it. Get, how about we'll go with that. So I need to create this serializer object. What this is going to do is basically going to take in some Python data and give me back some serialized data that's in JSON format. So to do that, I'm going to create a new file in my app folder and call it Serailizers. Serailizers.py. Here we need to import from built-in import object, I believe. All right, so class students serializer. It's going to inherit from objects. We want to, what do you want to do here? Let's make a method called all, take in students list, return serialize. All right, so we need to serialize our students. So to do that, we're just going to loop over our input list. So for student in student list, let's do something. So we want to create this. That's going to be a list because we're going to have a list of students. Going to go iterate over the input list, which is students list. That is our query set, which was returned from our models there. So we have a query list. We just want to query set. Sorry, we want to convert that to a list, and we want that list to have JSON data. So what do you want to do here? We want to create an object. So let's go with students. All right, serialized student will be a dictionary, and we'll have some fields in there. So what do you want here? We had name. I think that's all we had. We also do ID, I guess. There'll be an ID available. So we'll do s.id and s. All right. Any questions on what we're attempting to do here? All right, no questions. So that's my all method. What else do you want to do here? Let's see, just want to double check, make sure I'm not on the wrong path here. All right, so JSON response, that looks good.
Do you not need a dunder init method for student serializer?
So I think I'm doing it slightly different than I think the way we did yesterday. The end goal is we just need something to take in some data and spit it back out to us. So I think the way it was done before is we created properties. So with the init method, took in your data, and then the properties you would call them to get your data back. My approach here is just going to create two methods. One's going to be get all and get, or let's do convert all. So I'm just going to pass in the object directly to my function here, and the function will just take care of it. Essentially, it's doing the same thing as before, but just a different way about doing it. All right, so we get serialized student, and then we want to append it to our serialized students. So append serialized students, and then return that. And then for this, we want to take in one student and return this. All right, so that'd be for one student, return serialized student. All right, let's see what's going on here. So we're just taking in the data and converting it to something like this, dictionary. Let's see if this achieves what we want. So I have student serializer. In my views, I need to import those serializers. So from school app.serializers, import, let's just import everything. All right, so I have a method called converts all. And these are just methods, you can name them what they want. I'm passing the students to that serializer. So I'm not actually gonna pass it into the init method or the constructor. Just a different way about going about it, but it should give me the same thing, which is the serialized data. I'll call that students maybe. All right, so that's what I have set up. I'm not sure if this works, but obviously we could try it and see if it works, or if it doesn't, we could try again. So student list, let's see if we could actually get to that. So students, convert all takes one positional argument to two given. Anyone offhand know what I've screwed up here?
Did you put a self in your function call?
Yep.
Your method call to serializers?
Yep, totally forgot my self parameters. Shame on me. But these are instance methods, so they need a self. I guess in this case, I could make these class methods. If I want to, I could simply do, what was it? Class method. If I do class method here, then, or I can make this static method. In this case, I don't need the self because again, I'm not referring to self anywhere in here right now. So I think I could just do static method and get away with it. So let's see if that works. So static method, let's see if this works. In order to allow non-dictionaries, false. All right, have ran into this before. Okay, so we're getting a dictionary list. All right, so we have, I see. So this needs to be dictionary of students. So serialized students, I think that's what I want here. So students string. All right, let's see if that's what I was missing. So returning a dictionary instead of a list, Control C. Let's see if that comes it up. All right, there we go. So we got our students here. This is our JSON format. We have an ID for the students and notice we have the names. So that's all we had for our students data. Obviously we could add more data to our models, but this kind of conveys the idea hopefully. All right, so we got that going. That looks like it's working. Let's see if we could do a single student. So it's gonna be very similar to this. I'm gonna, sorry, not there, views. I'm gonna copy this and put it for my student detail. This will have a particular ID with it. So student ID should be that value. We would get and ID equals student ID. Again, you might see sometimes PK instead of ID. It's the same thing. PK stands for primary key. Here I know the ID is what we're getting. So we could use ID. It's going to be student. And it's going to be convert one. All right, so this just gets us back one student record. So let's see if this works. Student detail. If I go to, let's go to /2, which is should be Moose's information. Oops. Point one. Did I screw that up also? Oh, I added the self and I didn't need the self. All right, so static methods, just to be clear, that is essentially these can be standalone methods if I wanted to create them as standalone methods, but they're still nested in my class. But they don't depend on any instance, as in there's no use of self here. So I can just make them static in terms of they don't rely on anything. So if I refresh here, all right, there we go. ID 2, named Musa. So that's our student detail. Now, one thing I want to point out, or hopefully you guys can point out to me, in our serializers, notice we have some kind of redundant data. We're serializing students here and also kind of have the same thing going on here, right? Let's say, you know, hypothetically in the future, I need to add a new field to my model. So let's say I add a new field called like quotes, right? I'm not going to actually do that because I don't want to migrate anything. If we add a new field here, we're going to have to update it here and here. So these two are redundant and probably shouldn't be. So in this case, I think we could just call our method here. So if we do student serializer.convert1, right? Because this takes care of everything we want. Why don't we just use that method for our needs there? So we call our other serializer, which is convert1, get back the student, serialized student, and append that to our dictionary before. So hopefully that didn't break anything. Let's find out. I go back to students. Yep, data looks the same. So again, always good to cut out redundant code. You might think like, what's the big deal? It's only a couple extra lines. The big deal is with the larger projects get, if you have redundancies and you need to update one place, you might forget the other place, and that's going to cause problems. So there should be, again, when possible, have a single source of authority or single responsibility where the thing you're doing should be done in one place and only one place. Can you reuse that function or whatever class that you created in multiple places? All right, so that's my serializer for student. I think my course serializer is going to look very similar. So I'm just going to do some quick copy and paste to save some time. Go here. Let's rename students to course case. Okay, that should take care of most of it, except for the capitalized one. So course, and maybe use a C here. Okay, I think I got it, except we have a description now. So
You also need to change student serializer to course serializer and for C.
Thank you. I was definitely going to miss that. Course description. Let's get this rolling. And okay, so notice here it made it easier because I only have to add in one place. And as Jack mentioned, this does need to be course. All right, let's see what this looks like. And then I'm going to add on to it. So I need to go to my views. It's going to be identical to this. Let me paste that here. Question that you guys might have is, hey, you're kind of copying code here. Could you centralize this? I feel like I could. So like just have a shared method that takes in a model and returns me back the data. I'm not going to do that simply because I don't think I get that much benefit at this point. But if you were properly doing this, I would say, yeah, if you notice any sort of similar patterns, usually good practice is to, create a shared method for it in case, if right now this function is pretty simple. If I need to add like 20 more lines to it, I'll probably need to add 20 more lines up here. So you guys kind of get the idea. We've talked about reducing dependencies or redundant code before. Serialized course and something here, some detail, course detail. While I'm doing this copy paste and re-edit, any questions about what we've done with our serializer? I want to make sure that new concept kind of makes sense to us.
Not a question, but line 28 used to have student serializer instead of course serializer.
Course ID. Indeed, you are correct. Course. Okay, so I did some quick copy and paste there. Hopefully I updated everything appropriately.
Line 35, it's a student.objects.get.
I did not do this appropriately. Course. Okay, hopefully I got it. Fingers crossed. Let's check out our courses. I'm going to go to courses. All right, there's our courses, US History, Calculus, and English with their IDs that were auto-created for us. If we want to go to course detail, let's go to course 3, which is English. And there we go, language form. All right, that seems to be working well. So those are the easier parts where we did the read. One thing I want to talk about though is, what if I want to see what courses, which students are in US history? How do I actually show that here? Right, so right now we don't have any association. Let's add some students to our English course. Let's say Musa and Reno want to be part of English course. I'm going to save that. I go back here. Yep, Musa and Reno are in there. Let's say Reno wants to be in all these courses. So Reno is going to be in all these courses. I probably could set this up a different way. I'll say Sean wants to only be in calculus. Sorry. Okay, so we have Reno. We want to add Sean. Okay, I think I achieved that. So if you look at our models, Reno does not have that field. How do I get that field shown there? Admin, students. Sorry, I'm gonna Google this. Add field. I know there's a way to do this. List display. So let's see if that does it for me. Model student. Sorry, I know there's a way to do this. I've done it before. But I have not done this recently enough. So name, and let's say if courses comes in here.
I think you have to spell admin differently on line 4.
Yeah, that'd be good to have appropriate spelling there. All right, refresh, reach, type there, student admin, admin. All right, just did this here.
Looks like it inherits user admin.
Yes. Model admin. Okay. Let's see. We have model here. We want to do model admin maybe. We only do this work for me. Okay. Cross. Okay, so we got our ID here. We still don't see our courses here. There's definitely a way to do this. Add many to many fields. Admin view. I swear this was easier before. All right, I won't mess with it, but we can see from the courses who's in it. Let's actually check out our output now. So what my goal here is, now we have some students in US history. How do I actually show that in my serialized data here if I wanted to? So that's where we go back to our serializer, and let's mess with that. So serializer, right now, again, these are independent. We have course serializer and student serializer doing their own thing. But what if we want to add students to our courses? How can we do that? Well, we could add a new field here and add students. And now each course should have a students field. So course.students, I believe, should be a field that we added before. So we need to loop through that. So for that, I should probably not have typos. What if we use the student serializer we just had before and call convert all course.students. All right, so again, we're taking advantage of logic we wrote before, which is student serializer. We need to invoke that. And then we're gonna convert, use a convert all for every student listed in course stat students. Let's see if this works, or if not, we would need to refactor. So save that. Let me refresh my page. It's not iterable. Where is this? All students. That's what it's asking for. There we go. All right, so here we go. So we have 2 students in English. We have Musa and Reno. Then we have Reno listed here, and we have Sean and Reno in calculus. All right, so we've kind of have that nesting. Looks like we have this is not what I want. So let's clean that up. I'll just do this. Something feels wrong here. Yeah. So this is going to create. Yeah, I have this nested student, so that's not what I want. How do I kick that out? Students and then students. Any thoughts here, guys? Students, convert all. Serialized students is what I want. Why not just not gonna let me use it. Yeah. All right, I guess I'll just leave that for now. So we do have their data here. Students and this nested students is not what I wanted. Just want this object, or I want this in my students. Let's think about this. So students, student serializer, how can we cut out that extra part? Sorry, I'm kind of blanking on how to do this appropriately. So convert all. Anyone have any suggestions out there? I could return a list out of here, but that's not going to be kosher. So the initial way I did this was supposed to be a list, and then if I did that, it's going to be another error, right? Yeah, this is probably going to blow up in my face, but I can go on with it. So this will be an error. The error is non-dict, which really says safe. So
If you scroll to the bottom of that trace back, you can see which like quick query set you're getting that the JSON renderer is failing on under local var.
Yeah, I'm trying to return a list here, and then that's telling me that's bad. So if I do like safe equals false, is that what it wants me to do? Makes me uneasy when I'm doing something called safe equals false. Okay, that looks fine. Let's take that safe. All right, so I'm returning a list, and I think that's why it's complaining instead of it being a dictionary or an object. So if I go to courses. All right, there we go. So I got what I wanted. Again, I have students here. I have the nested data here. So that's one way I could take advantage of nesting. What if I want to nest it on the other end? What if I want to nest it for students? Right, if I want to see what classes Sean or Musa or Reno are part of, what if I want to do that? So we do something similar, but there might be a problem. So, let's say I want to do something like this. What if I took students? The same thing here. So we had courses. Can anyone think of maybe a problem we'll get into here? I'm not sure if this will even run, but I think I know what's going to go wrong here. Refresh. All right. So this is actually in an infinite loop. Recursion error. The reason is because we're calling course serializer for students, which in turn will eventually call student serializer for the students. So we're getting like infinite levels of nesting, right? Because course serializer currently depends on student serializer, and student serializer currently depends on course serializer. So they're just going back and forth, writing the data again, deeper and deeper levels. That's not what we want, obviously. So how can we fix this? Well, one easy way is to simply do add a parameter here, or I guess add a parameter here. Let's go with add nesting. All right, so if we do that, pass that down here too. Now, if this is false, we probably just don't want to re-nest it. So we do take this out. And then if add nesting, then we could add this in here. So serialize students, courses will equal that. All right, so we're just going to conditionally not kind of keep looping in over and over, and then that should let us do what we want. So add nesting, Any questions on how we're trying to solve this? If add nesting, serialized course with students will equal that. All right, let's see if that fixes it. If not, we'll need to go back at it. So if I refresh, oh, I'm not actually passing false. So we don't want to loop in that case. It would be false. And where's the other case? Right here. That take care of it? Oh, still there. All right. So let's think about what's going on here. So, oh, we need to pass this down to our serializer here. So add and up here. Okay, does that fix it? There we go. All right. So basically we added a Boolean when if the other serializer, in this case, like we have students in course, if course serializer is calling into student serializer, that Boolean is going to be set to false so that it doesn't loop forever. So we only get one level here instead of having, you know, another nest level here for courses and student, and then student having courses further. So I guess we have courses. They're not going to list the students underneath here because we don't want to keep going and going. Does that make sense? I don't know if I lost anyone there. But now we have our data. So it looks like Reno, he's our go-getter. He's in all three classes. Musa's in English, and then Sean's only in calculus. Okay, so we took care of that. Last thing we need to do is implement some writing. So to that, we're going to create some forms. Let's do that quickly, and we'll take a break. So if I add forms, not pi, let's add, what is it? From Django forms, import model form. And let's go do this quickly. So we need our models too. From Django school app dot models imports everything. So we do class student form models dot model form. Model form. What do you want here? So our model is going to be student, and field will be let's see. We have name. We also have ID. But this should be read only. How do we make read only fields? Well, Google that. Django model form read only fields. I think there's just an extra param we gotta set. Nope, nope. Should be an easier way to do this. All right, I don't want to get into this level of detail. All right, we'll exclude the ID then. So I don't want the user to be edit the ID. So if I do that, field to name, and then we'll do the same for courses. So course form and course. Okay, so those are our forms. Let's use them in our views. So I go to my views. From school app forms, imports, everything. All right, so let's actually use that form for a new method and edit, and then delete does not need that form, so should be good then. All right, how do we actually do this? Well, let's figure that out. So we're going to be taking in a post request. So if request posts, because that's how we create new data on the server side. Client will send a post request. We're going to do data equals JSON.load.
Would it have to be request.method equals post, or can you access post that way?
I think you're right. The request does have a post dictionary, so I think that could work actually. But this is actually what I wanted, so you got that right. So, import JSON. Okay, so JSON.load. We're taking in some JSON data. Requests. We have form equals students form, taking data, and then if form is valid. So again, we did this yesterday. We're kind of just going off the curriculum page. If it's valid, then we want to do students equals form.save, commit equals true. I think commit equals true is the default anyway. I'm not sure why we do that. And then we'll do serialize. Serailizers convert 1. Okay, and then we need to return a JSON response. Return JSON response. And what do you want to do here? We want serialized students and status equals 200. How are we going to wrap this in a try catch just in case something doesn't go according to plan? So try accept. We'll return something else. So let's return some error. So say error failed operation. Status will be a lovely 401. That's error code for it. I don't know my error codes.
So do you have to pass status code?
I
Optional.
think so. Might be optional. I'm not sure what the default one would be. We can find out. All right, so let's give student new a try and see if that works. So student new takes in that. I'm a little worried about this, but maybe that's fine. Let's go to student new. Oh, we need to return something in either case. So okay. Couple things here. We need to do CSRF exempts because we don't have that token. So that's coming from somewhere. Anyone remember where that's coming from? Looks like it's from Django. dot views dot decorators dot csrf. Parts remember all that csrf. All right, so easy to forget that. If you tried submitting a form, it would not work. So try that. All right, so we're posting now. So what the issue here is I'm making a GET request, right? So your browser always makes a GET request by default when you go to a URL. So I can't really test this through my browser the way I want it to. So that's where Postman comes into play. So I'm going to copy this URL. I think I already have it set up. Here's my Postman. Blow that up so you guys can kind of see it. I actually have some commands already set up. So I have list all, detail, new, update, delete, and same for courses. So we want to do a new request. So new should be a post. Again, in our browser, that's a get. And so in the get case, we don't actually return anything, right? So we only test posts. So maybe if we had a get or anything else that's not a post, we might just want to throw some error. Raise an error. Exception, not a post request. And then this should cut exception as B. That worked. Let's see, refresh. Not JSON serializable. I gotta do a lot of Googling today. So Python exception get string. Simple enough. Convert to a string. That worked. All right, there we go. So we got not a post request because we're making a get request. All right, but we actually want to make a post request. So that's what Postman is here for. Looks like we're creating a new student called Mickey Mouse. I was doing this earlier. So let's change the data here. So Mickey Mouse will be our new student. And I guess we only have name. So we're going to submit, again, a post request to that URL. If it works correctly, it should be processed by our form here. So we did post. It should get into here where we take the request. Again, that request has a body on it because this is a post request. We're going to send some data along with it. We're going to take that data, convert it from JSON, and then use that data to initialize our student. So let's see. So again, this is part of our body. So if you're using Postman, you should be able to add the body section. So click body, go to your view. In this case, I'm using the raw view where I could add some JSON here. So if I save this and send it, let's see what our result is. All right, we did not succeed because our URL was changed. So it looks like I've changed the name of my URL in the interest of not breaking my routes there. I go to my URLs and change this to school _ API. All right, let's see if that fixes that. Model form has no model class specified. That is not good. Model form. Got my nested class. That's why I was complaining. All right, so class meta, again, want to nest that inside your form. Let's see if that comes up. So this should still be the same. API. Okay, cool. And let's try something else. All right, there we go. So notice we got ID 4, Mickey Mouse is not currently enrolled in any courses. All right, if we want to do an update, it's gonna be a similar process. So let's go to our update case, where reviews. All right, so update should be very similar to this. So let's put that here. The only difference is in this case, we have a student ID that is given to us. And then we should be able to use that student. So how do we do that? get the student up top. So students equals students dot objects dot get, and we'll use that student ID that was passed into us again through the URL because you're matching that pattern. We should get a student ID, and then we want to use instance in this case. So instance equals student, and everything else should be the same. Okay, let's see if that works. So I want to go to edit. So let's say we have Mickey Mouse. We need to go to update. So update school API students. Let's update Mickey Mouse. So if I go to 4, that should be Mickey Mouse's. And let's change it to Mr. Mickey Mouse and send that. Let's see what happens. So update, I think it's called edit. Send that. What do we get? Forbidden. Oops, forgot my CSRF protection. Told you it's easy to forget. I did it for new, but now I need it for edits. All right, and then we'll probably want it for delete also. And while I'm at it, let's just do it for course edit and delete also. All right, well, let's see if that cleans up our error. Send that again. Error, student has no attribute objects. That's not good. Anyone know what that means? Let's see. Right. Oh, naming. Students dot objects plural, not singular. All right, there we go. So we updated Mickey Mouse to Mr. Mickey Mouse. Let's say we want to add courses. Would we be able to add courses? Well, currently we would not be able to, because if we look at our model form, where's our model form? Models here. Notice forms. We only have name. What if we added courses now? If we add courses, we should be able to process that. And we could add students to our courses also, students. All right, so now if we have courses available in our form, we can pass that in from the client side. So here, let's actually try to add courses. So courses, let's say Mickey wants to be part of some courses. We could add course number 2. I forget what course that was. Anyone remember that? Courses. Site dive. All right. Why am I having a tough day with this? So fields.
Can you do an extra field if it's not in your models.py?
Is that how you do it?
Yes. Well,
All right. I didn't think it'd be that picky about it. Okay, let's see if Reno's suggestion works here. So refresh. All right, so we're trying to add course 2. So it looks like Mickey Mouse wants to take some calculus class. So let's add 2 there. Let's say you also want to drop into English. So we'll do something like that. Let's see if that works. So yeah, English course 3. Will this work? We got something back. Courses does not seem to be updated here. Right.
well, I was really just asking if you have to update the models.py to take in a course ID.
Models.py. So you mean up here?
Yeah. So since you only have name there, are you able to take in a like a course as a field?
Not this many-to-many would do it for me, but clearly I am not doing it correctly. So many-to-many field for form, Django. Always good Google results, Django forms for many fields. Let's see what this article has to say. So here they have member, where's the many? All right, so meals has members on it. How do they? All right, this is more complex than I wanted. So they have the fields here with members, which members was the many field. But I want the reverse lookup.
What was your related name?
My related name is courses. So I would think, so I do have student.courses available to me because we're using that for a serializer, but it doesn't look like we're able to do that here. The forms, courses, maybe we can't edit courses this way. All right, we'll have to try. Let's not push ourselves into unfamiliar territory. So okay, update, and we do, I suppose, edit, and then we want to do delete. So let's get Mickey Mouse out of here for students, and we want to delete. So implement delete. Hopefully that one isn't as complicated here. So we go to our views, student deletes. All right, let's get that student out of here. Copy this. LT.
Hey, Uncle, can we take a quick break?
Yep, we'll do it right after this. Definitely been going long. Student, and then if request that method equals posts. What do we want to do here? We want to do a delete. So guess we don't need to grab the student here. We'll do student. And objects with an S, delete. We get student ID, and we want to delete that. So we'll do delete. All right, probably should do this in a try catch in case that student exists. So try this. And set case. Okay, delete, and then we want to pass back some JSON response. So JSON response of message. All right, let's delete Mickey Mouse from our database. We don't think that's a valid student anyway. Did I try it? All right, there we go, student deleted. So if we go back to our students, list all. Notice that we should see Sean, Musa, and Reno, but no Mickey Mouse there. All right, cool. So we took care of students. Courses is going to be essentially the same. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But yeah, let's take a break. So it's 11:30. Let's take a 10-minute break and be back by 11:40. All right, so during the break, I just quickly copied over my student logic and updated it for courses. So we should have courses good to go too. Let's quickly see that. So we go posting to some courses. So let's update course 3, which is calculus. So calculus. All right, so let's see if we can specify which students we want in calculus. So currently, we look at our data. Let's go to courses. Looks like calculus has ID 1 and 3. Let's change that to have everybody. So let's say 1, 2, and 3. So everyone should be in that course. Let's see if this works. Send that. Nope. We get an error post. Oh, my path. Courses, 3 edits. Send that. All right, there we go. So if we look, now we should have Sean, Musa, and Reno part of calculus. So we are able to do that with this side of the many-to-many relationship. So again, students is a many-to-many field that we specified on the courses. Remember our model. So we have this many-to-many field here. I was trying to do the reverse where I was trying to add courses from the student side. And I know it is possible somehow, but I was Googling it also, and it it's not straightforward as I thought it would be, doing it the manual way. So this way it was not quite working the way I was hoping it would. Okay, so it looks like we have courses. If we want to add a course, we should be able to do that. Let's just kind of quickly check that. So we go, so I haven't updated my path here. So we course is new. Let's copy that to, I don't know, who else we have out there? Vincent, do you have a favorite course from high school or college or anywhere?
Physics.
Physics. I found physics just to be calculus, just using calculus over and over, just in more real world applications. I thought it was fun. All right, so we have that. We need description. So description would be calculus applied to the real world.
I believe you're missing a quote.
Yep, you are correct on that. All right, and then let's see if we can add students right away. So let's say, since Reno chimed in here, I'm signing you up for physics also. It's a heavy course load you got going there. Let's have students, and Reno's ID was it 3? All right. Yep. So students, that should be a comma. All right, so assuming that this is formatted correctly, we should be able to create a new class of physics description and then enroll Reno in there automatically. So if I send this to school API courses new, will that work? There we go. So we're able to do that again from the, I guess, from the front side of our many relationship. It seems like we can add students there. Ideally, we should be able to do it the reverse way. And I know it's possible. I just have forgotten how to do that. So here, if I wanted to add Pluto, I should be able to add courses for Pluto also. I might need to change something on my backend because I am sending this data. So the client is sending this data over. I just need to know how to use this and parse it so that I could add those courses for the student. But not going to bother with that because it seems like I'm not brushed up on my manual serializers there. So, okay. So that, I think that takes care of more or less the school API. We, again, are serving up the data via JSON responses, and we have a relationship between students and courses. So it's a many relationship that we established there. The main point, the main practice here was getting your serializers to work. So kind of make sure you can take in some data and then format it so that it can be converted to JSON. And that should be what you got familiar with this exercise. Some of the things I chose to do here was to kind of call my other serializer here, and that required some additional logic where we need to pass in false so we don't keep kind of nesting one into the other over and over. But otherwise, that's what our serializer kind of look like. Any questions about what we accomplished with this challenge?
Yeah, it's been a little bit since we've been in Django. So for that many-to-many field in your models, is that just so you can not do a join table for a many relationship?
Yep.
Or okay.
So the answer is mostly yes. You do not have to create a join table if you don't have extra data to keep track of with your many relationships. So in your backend database, there's still a join table that got created for you. From Django side, you did not have to create a join model. So I didn't have to create something called class enrollment, right? This is not wrong. You could definitely create this table. So models.model. And you could just do, students as one of your fields. Let me put that up, models.foreign key. Again, we've done this before, students. Right, so
blank equals true.
What was this? Blank? This was so that I could create a course, but not required to have students in it. Without this, the admin form was prompting me to at least add one student. So I wanted to.
it's a weird thing with many to many fields. It's necessary if you want to be able to create something without it also being linked from the word go. Basically, it's how you override the like null value.
Yeah, so you could also set null here. Just for the database, again, blank is from the input side. Null, if you set null, means is this field nullable in the database? All right, so you can create a join table, but essentially, if I don't have any extra data in my enrollments, this many to many field will automatically do that for me. If I do have extra data, like if you want to have a course grade, that's like, let's say it's an integer value, models, integer field, right? If we had like the grade as an integer or maybe decimal, if it's like a GPA value, in this case, since we do have additional data, now we want to use a through table here. So we do through enrollments, remember that correctly. But this will accomplish the same thing. So if you do want to join table, nothing wrong with it. If you don't have this extra piece of data or any extra piece of data, you don't really need to create it for Django. Django will automatically handle that for you in your database. Okay. All right, so I think that completes my school API challenge. Looks like it's yelling at me for that. Okay, so I think that completes it. So that's cool.